Hey everyone, welcome. Let's talk about English plurals. You know, they can be super tricky. So today, we're going to break it all down, starting with the simple stuff and then getting into the really weird rules. We'll make sense of it all, I promise.
Okay, let's just jump right in with a classic example. We've all been there, haven't we? You've got one goose, two geese, down pat. But then, one mouse, two mouses? It just sounds wrong. This is exactly why we're here, to build a super solid foundation so you never have to second-guess yourself like that again.
So here's how we're going to do it. Think of it like building a pyramid. We'll cover these 5 areas, starting with the golden rule at the bottom, the big solid base, and then climb our way up, level by level, all the way to the truly weird stuff at the very top.
All right, let's get started with that foundation. Section 1, the golden rule. This is the big one, the rule that covers most of the words you'll ever come across in English.
But hold on, before we start adding letters to things, let's make sure we're all on the same page. What even is grammatical number? It sounds complicated, but really, it's just a fancy way of asking how many. Singular, that just means one. Plural, it means more than one. That's it. Simple as that.
And here it is, the golden rule itself. For the vast majority of nouns, all you've got to do is slap an S on the end. Honestly, if you only remember one thing from this whole explainer, make it this one. This is your #1 tool for making plurals.
And you can see just how simple and powerful it is with these examples. You've got one pencil, now you have many pencils. One cow, multiple cows. House, houses. Dog, dogs. See? This rule works so often, it's really the foundation for everything else.
Okay, ready for level 2 of our pyramid? We're talking about those hissing sounds. Now, this isn't really an exception to the rule, it's more like a practical fix for a pronunciation problem. You'll see what I mean.
Okay, so here's the deal. If a word ends in one of these hissing sounds, like S, SH, CH, X, or Z, just adding another S is, well, it's a mouthful. Go ahead, try to say foxes or dishes. It's awkward, right? It just kind of mushes together. And that's exactly why we add ES. It gives us a whole extra syllable and makes it easy to say. And you can really hear it with these examples. You don't say bus, you say buses. Not dish, say, but dish is. Same for branch and fox. That little "es" makes all the difference, making the plural sound clear and distinct. It just flows better.
But wait, there's a little pro tip for you, a fun exception to the ch rule. What happens when ch doesn't sound like ch, but instead sounds like a k? Think of words like monarch or stomach. In those cases, you actually ignore the hissing rule and go right back to the golden rule. Just add an s. So it's monarchs.
All right, let's keep climbing that pyramid. Now we're getting into some of the really common tricky endings. Y, F, and O. These are the ones that trip people up all the time. But the good news is there are some pretty clear rules to follow once you know them.
So for words ending in Y, here's the secret. It's all about the letter right before the Y. If it's a consonant, like the R in story, you do a little switcheroo. You change the Y to an I and add ES. So story becomes stories. But if the letter before the Y is a vowel, like the O in toy or the E in donkey, you just follow the golden rule and add an S. Toys, donkeys, easy.
Next up, we've got words ending in F or FE. This is another one where the sound actually changes. For a lot of these words, that sharp F sound softens into a V sound in the plural. So wife becomes wives, leaf becomes leaves. You can literally feel your mouth making a different shape when you say them.
And now, the infamous O ending. This one is, let's be honest, kind of a mess. The main guideline is a lot like the Y rule. If there's a consonant before the O, you usually add ES, like hero to heroes. If there's a vowel, you just add S, like studio to studios. But then you get all these exceptions. Photo becomes photos, not photos. And then there are words like mosquito, where you can actually spell it with an S or an ES, and both are right. Yeah, this one definitely requires a bit of memorization.
Okay, now we're getting into the really cool stuff. We're about to uncover some ancient grammar echoes. These aren't really rules in the modern sense. They're more like linguistic fossils, words that have kept their plural forms from a much, much older version of English. This is where the deep magic happens.
So, for these words, you can forget everything we just said about adding letters to the end. Instead, the plural is formed by changing a vowel right in the middle of the word. Man becomes men, foot becomes feet, mouse becomes mice. These are straight out of Old English, and there's no trick to them. You just have to know them.
And here are a couple more of those linguistic relics. We used to use n to make plurals a lot more often, but now it only hangs on in a few words. The most famous ones? Ox becomes oxen, and of course, child becomes children.
All right, we've done it. We've reached the very peak of our grammar pyramid. This is where we find the truly weird stuff. The special cases, the confusing compound nouns, all the words that seem like they were designed just to be tricky. Let's finish strong and figure these out.
Okay, this is a huge one, compound nouns. It's so tempting to just stick the S at the very end of the whole phrase, right? But that's not how it works. The key is to find the most important word, the main noun, and make that word plural. Think about it. If you have more than one brother-in-law, you have multiple brothers, not multiple laws. So it's brothers-in-law. Same for commanders-in-chief.
So, what about words that don't even play the singular/plural game? Some nouns just don't have a plural form. You can have a lot of furniture, but you can't have furnitures. It's what we call a non-count noun. And on the flip side, some nouns only exist in the plural. You can't have a scissor or a trouser. You have a pair of scissors, a pair of trousers. They just don't have a singular form.
And then we have the truly deceptive nouns. Some look plural because they end in s, but they're actually singular. Physics is one subject. The news is good. But then you have words that look singular but are actually plural. People is a group, so the people are waiting. Same with cattle or government. These are definitely some of the biggest traps.
Okay, just a few last odds and ends to wrap things up at the top of our pyramid. How do you make letters and numbers plural? Well, for clarity, we often just use an apostrophe s, like mind your P's and Q's, or add 2 5s. And then there are pronouns. Oh boy, there's no rule here at all. They just change completely. I becomes we, she becomes they, this becomes these. It's pure memorization.
So after all that, you might be asking, why does this even matter? Well, it's not about being a grammar nerd or passing a test. It's about being clear. Getting plurals right makes your writing and your speaking sound more professional for sure, but more importantly, it makes your meaning crystal clear. And that's what communication is all about, right?
And I want to leave you with one final thought. English grammar isn't set in stone. It's always changing, always evolving. All these rules we've talked about, they're just a snapshot of the language right now. So, thinking about the future, what's one confusing plural you think should be simplified? What's the next rule that ought to change?